matchups we've cast today, as both decks generally do play out in a relatively similar fashion.
Yes, and Bunnyhoppor has been the holdout for this deck right from the beginning. I think week one, he had this deck in his arsenal, and he's continued to bring it week after week after week, and has been, I believe, the most successful player with the deck as well, running a positive win rate even when others were not. This week, he's chosen to do something a little bit different, as I've highlighted there in the keycards, the Underbelly Fence coming into his deck as a double copy this time around.
Maybe a bit of a nod to expectations of some changes post-patch, maybe expecting a little bit more aggro. Can also fight a little bit better against Demon Hunter in the early game as well, if he's expecting that. But you said positive win rate. I just want to highlight that Bunny's actually 71.4% win rate with this rogue, or this archetype, throughout Grandmasters. That is insane. 25 wins and 10 losses. That's ridiculous, even for someone like Bunnyhoppor.
Yeah, and crucially, I guess, or fittingly, the opening matchup here against Seiko on Mage. Seiko in the early weeks, where I'd spent basically the entire first week of the expansion playing Tempo Mage to great success myself. And then, obviously, we got to learn with the first week of Grandmasters how many different ways there were to approach playing Tempo Mage.
Right.
And one of the players who I noticed playing the most differently from me was Seiko, who was also winning. And I was sort of trying to pass this information of, wait, like, you know, I'm high legend, I'm winning with this deck. Seiko's playing completely different than I do, and also winning with this deck. And couldn't quite process that information, but Seiko has continued to do so. I believe he is one of, if not the most successful Tempo Mage players in Grandmasters right now, with a 60% win rate overall. Obviously, not quite as impressive as the Bunnyhoppor statistic being in the low 70s, but still an incredible win rate for a deck that is largely sub 50% for most players who are bringing it this season.
Yeah, really impressive play from both players on their preferred lists, but we'll see what this Underbelly Fence does, if anything, at least in this matchup as well. There is the One Thief there already, so that can help get things rolling. It's just how Bunnyhoppor chooses to actually play out these next few turns, and I think this is where the wins and losses come a lot of the time. Yes, there's the drawn out games, but for me, how these players use resources this early in the game when they have multiple even more good options now, really does just make a big difference. A lot of the time I see players of this caliber actually making plays that I think we wouldn't really see even on high ladder a lot of the time.
So many.
Difficult hand to play for sure. One Thief obviously will activate the Underbelly Fence, which is very attractive to get that done as early as possible, but would likely involve using the coin as an activator, and then the only thing you'd really have to spend that remaining mana on would be the Underbelly Fence, and at the same time that coin is so valuable with every other coin in your hand right now.
Ooh, I was just going to make a call, and I would have been wrong, so yeah, I think it's going to go for Miscreant.
Yeah.
My call there. Yeah, I was going to make the dagger call, because I was actually looking at whichever way round he would want to do it, but as an example, like questing coin, wand, prep, X.
Yeah.
And so on, like, that would be insane, but they'd just go for the Miscreant. Ooh. And this is the play that always throws me off the most. Seiko having a bit more of a straightforward turn with just that Arcane Intellect, going to help cycle through and give him some more options going forward. He does have the Devolving Missiles in the far left of his hand, so he is going to be able to answer at least, or likely answer one of these big threats. I'm not going to say definite, because we've seen some pretty impressive Matrix performances from some of these big minions like Questin and Edwin.
Yes, is this now just the triple ones? Go Ethereal, find something to prep on a later turn, and then just fill out the rest of the turn with the Draconic and the One Thief. Well, if we can't see what Bunny's Discover options are this game, we might be in trouble, because that's basically what this deck does.
Yeah, we might need to get this fixed.
Yeah.
Either way, taking his time. We do get to see the outcome, which is an Eviscerate. Although it does look like an obviously fairly aggressive card, it can just be used to clean up some minions as well. And oh, okay, not bad.
If ever there was a turn for that spectator bug to appear, oh my goodness. Discover a spell, discover a dragon, discover a mage spell. Nope. I'm going to see any of them.
I can see all three. The Ancient Mysteries is, of course, going to get some pretty great use. Well, that was sick.
Wow! That is next level spending your mana. Devolving Missiles against, like, possibly the best matchup for Devolving Missiles when there's a 3-mana 1/4 on the board? Like, okay.
So
I mean, it looks
many,
pretty good to me, Sal. I don't know what you're talking about.
Give me a quest.
But here comes questing. Maybe that was all Bunnyhoppor needed to know. He can actually go Ancient Mysteries with the prep now and play the secret to back it up. Absolutely huge.
One of those weird situations where I think because your opponent played Devolving Missiles last turn, you're actually more confident that they have Devolving Missiles in their hand. Because what kind of crazy person would play a Devolving Missiles there if they didn't have another one to rely on the following turn, right?
You are playing against someone called Seiko.
That's a good point.
But you are right, yeah. It's one of those plays that looks like because they have enough answers, not because they've only got one and it's like a weird desperation play, right?
Right.
Here, though, what does Seiko do? There's Arcane Missiles, which does help him potentially clear up the 1/1s.
Yes. It looks like this is just the pop-off turn to me. Seiko seems to agree. He's going in. Needs these Arcane Missiles to clear up some of these 1/1 targets. Not that. Okay, that's hit 2 of them anyway. That's fine. Probably take that in isolation.
Wait a minute, he can't mana Cyclone! He needs to kill it! Double Rare Frost, go!
Yeah, he's fine, he's fine. He's got the
It
tools
is
he
funny,
needs.
though.
Even that lab partner currently costing 1.
Time runs out on me.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to go for one of the... Oh, no, okay.
It says explode.
Yeah, he can never skip it. Doesn't matter.
Yep. I think you cash out both rays here. You have double spell damage, so you might as well kill the 2/4, open up that space in your hand for something else to recycle from the Cyclone.
Yeah, I think this is what Mage needs to do in this matchup, right? Have, like, one big power turn and just expect that Rogue can't deal with, like, 4 or 5 minions at the same time, because it normally can't.
Yeah, it does struggle to respond to these kind of board states a lot of the time. And he does have a decent hand for doing so, though. He can at least clear up the Apprentice, which is step 1. But,
And Underbelly Fence does help with that problem as well, right?
well, how much does it, though? Because those mirror images are very, very annoying. So just tempoing out a 3/4, essentially, into double spell damage and not being able to pick up a value trade with it first, that might be kind of scary from Bunny's position.
I wonder.
What other options are there? This Vendetta can obviously be played. There could just be, like, Vendetta, Eviscerate, Van Cleef. Is
Right.
that any better? That just... still doesn't feel great. You're still putting a Van Cleef into 2 spell damage minions, potentially.
Well,
Or
no,
one,
because
I guess,
you're
if you-
eviscerating one
Yeah,
of
if
the
you
spell
leave the
damage
thing
minions
up,
if
yeah.
you do that, right? Choosing to just play 2 threats instead, which is fair, but double spell damage is so scary here for me. I think I would have ended up eviscerating one of them personally.
Now, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, all the options in the world, even even the potion looks good. Not necessarily for this turn, but Seiko just has so much stuff to do.
Yep.
Whoa.
What was that noise?
The noise I make when I see someone have even more options. They're all powerful things.
Fence number 2.
I think Bunnyhoppor needs to go fishing for a mage AoE spell right now, because it feels like these minions are never going to be cleared off the board, ever.
Right.
I wonder.
I guess Nidhogg might do that eventually.
How much is this worth to you?
Does the dagger come down alongside this as well? I guess
I don't
we'll
know.
never know. At least we can play a game in arena mode.
Yep, Hearthstone Battlegrounds does have elementals included as well, so be sure to check that out during or after the broadcast at your leisure. Oh, hi! Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so I'm not really sure what was going on in that game there. We did see, I'm guessing Bunnyhoppor go for that removal plan, whether that lasted one game or three. Yeah, one turn or 3 turns or not, was the length of that plan to actually clear up that board. It does sound like we are getting back into the game now, but the board looks just as scary, if not scarier, than when we left it, Sol.
Yo, that Jandis, though. Azerite Elemental Allah? Are you kidding me?
I wonder.
This is the same old problem that Bunnyhopper's had, and I think the deck itself just has. If you go wide enough, the tools don't exist outside of mage spells.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You really do have to lock down the board nice and early in these kind of matchups as Rogue, be the one going wide yourself, which, to be fair, Bunny was. That's clearly like how his game plan was executed, right? He deliberately coined Miscreant because he wanted to get those lackeys down nice and early to be able to spread across the board. He did that, and then he pushed out his first big threat after that with the questing adventure. It's just Seiko had the goods to deal with it, and like I said, he felt so comfortable he threw away a devolving missiles while having the second one in hand, and just to be able to deal with the situation. It was very nicely done.
You can actually sap the Azerite and go for the combustion as well.
Yep, very nice. Combustion Jandis interaction is pretty nice, generally, as a response.
Wait, did he just miss a damage there?
Miss a damage?
Well, he did it on the Jandis, which killed the 0-3, but he could have done it on the 0-3, which would still kill the Jandis and one damage on the... Yeah. Okay.
What to
Hey, though, Seiko's just got all the options in the world again. And I think if he gets to kill off this Blackjack Stunner, the fear of this board being dealt with just goes straight out the window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's give Bunnyhoppor a pretty good card, though.
Yeah, it's a card that, he's a turn behind if he plays at any position, though, which I think is absolutely fine. He's going to go ahead and do it because he doesn't really have a better response, but I think Seiko understands the dynamic here that if he does something first and then his opponent responds in kind, there's a few specific exceptions to that rule. Like, most famously, Glade-bound Adept, I guess. We had an entire meta of talking about that. But generally, if you're the person doing it first, you're in business.
Also, Seiko just has Cone of Cold, which means these elementals don't really exist for a turn, and I think Seiko only really needs a turn to really make something happen here.
I just end up Conjurer's Calling this turn. Yeah.
I mean, you could still Cone.
Yikes.
Whoa!
Those are bad.
They do suck. It's just
It's better.
okay. Better, yeah.
So much respect paid to the board there. I'm a little surprised by this.
Yeah, I felt like even if it was just a Cone go face turn and I don't know, play a Solarian, that looked pretty good.
Right.
The spell damage is on the board to at least soften them up anyway. You push a ton of damage face. Like, yeah, I don't know. Why not? Didn't help that its Conjurers were underwhelming overall, of course, but still.
I give up.
So there's effectively 10 damage on board, which looks like Bunnyhoppor could not deal with. And that means Seiko is going to take an early lead in this series. And it really was just that, honestly, the almost back-to-back devolving missiles from Seiko, along with a bit of help from some of the spells to clear off, was huge there. And just push Bunnyhoppor off board. And like we said, like The rogue can go very late in a value-based game. It can win board early and take over from that point. It can't really fight a wide board. That is probably the main weakness the deck and kind of generally the class actually just has right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think Bunny's version of the deck, you can see how it would be potentially even more efficient in winning those early game battles when you add the underbelly fence into the mix as well. And again, it's absolutely what he did. I think it's a big reason why he chose to go Coin Miscreant, is that he wanted to be the first to establish a wide board and then start playing big threats after that point. But Seiko's response was just so insane, because when the questing came down, it wasn't just, well, he has Arcane Missiles and the Devolving Missiles to be able to clear up the board state. He had all that, plus an Apprentice, plus an Evocation, plus a bunch of playable spells, plus a Mana Cyclone, which he was still just reaping the fruits of that Mana Cyclone at the end of the game, right? He was still just playing the Conjurer's Callings and Cone of Colds and Deep Freezes that he'd got from that one pop-off turn. So sometimes mages just have a turn that's just too good for anything else to compete with, and that's pretty much the situation we saw there.
Yeah, and I think that on top of Bunnyhoppor not really getting mind-blowing options from his One Thieves either, to be able to just, if he had one good AoE spell from Mage, then suddenly the game continues a little bit longer anyway, but he just didn't quite get hold of it. Does mean we are going to be moving on to our game number 2, and I think it looks like Seiko is going to be on that Priest, while Bunnyhoppor still hasn't locked in yet, but most importantly here, Bunnyhoppor choosing to go with the Demon Hunter. That kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know why, but I thought Bunnyhoppor would just be on Mage this week. But he's just going to go for the Demon Hunter instead. But he's going to be queuing his Rogue again in match number 2. So now we get Priest versus Rogue, another potentially spicy matchup.
Yeah, it is another one that can potentially go very, very long. But yeah, I was also a little bit surprised to see the Demon Hunter coming out in Bunnyhoppor's lineup overall, because it doesn't feel like a very Bunnyhoppor deck, or hasn't been up until this point. But clearly he has the same feeling that a lot of other people do, that with Druid, quote, gone, like with the nerf impacting it and expecting less people to bring it, there's more room for this Demon Hunter to find its way through.
And just looking at this, it looks like as well this Priest from Seiko. Looks to be pretty standard for Seiko, at least. There's the one Twilight Drake in there, and a few other options as well. That looks like a pretty standard list, but it looks like we are going to go to a break while we get ready for our game number 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dumb compliment? Well,
I'm very proud that I'm able to cook minute rice in 50 seconds.
I can remember one from where I was back in high school. Somebody was trying to open a pen. Super trivial.
When I used to win a bunch of card game competitions and I was like 10, 11, everybody else was 17, 18.
All the strong kids in the class tried to open that pen, and none of them could get it done.
I won tennis tournament, so it's for me it's an achievement.
I was like, give it to me, and I looked at it for like 10 seconds, played a little around with it, and I was like, here. I was really proud of it in that moment.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about that. We did just have to go and make sure we had a spectator sorted for you guys so we can actually see some cards that are discovered and make sure everything's all sorted out. So we are done. So we're ready to continue the series between Seiko and Bunnyhoppor.
Yes, and again, pretty crucial one for Division A standings overall. As we mentioned at the start of the series, very, very congested group in the middle of the pack there in Division A, of which both these players are caught up in. So a win and a loss for both of these players will have a similar impact to what we saw from the first series, where Yala picking up a win over Bly's really reversed their positions in the standings and left Yala looking up and Bly's potentially looking down. So that's the situation both these players find themselves in. We've got all the way here to the final week, and really no one can be sure of anything in Division A outside of potentially Viper and RDU on different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and just looking at this, at Seiko's Priest, he does have the good options to go early on tempo as well. The only slightly different, or not maybe not slightly, but different thing in this matchup against Rogue is Priest doesn't normally, or at least consistently, go wide on board that well. It's not like Mage, right, that just have a ton of minions to throw out if they get that kind of curve.
Right.
Priest is normally 1 to 3 minions, which is much more manageable or will be for Bunnyhoppor on this Rogue. So we probably won't see as much of what we saw last time, especially with this opening from Bunnyhoppor. This means he's going to keep Dragon Sword and Vendetta to deal with any of those early curves.
Yeah, I was curious about how reactive Bunny was willing to be here, especially with the addition of Underbelly Fence to the deck. It's not something that I've tried, so I'm curious as to how it changes your mentality. Because I do agree, having a clean answer to just Sethic Veilweaver or anything like that comes down early, just make sure you don't immediately lose the game to an early minion sticking from Priest. I do think that's pretty key to the matchup. But with Underbelly Fence in the deck, I was curious whether you might have more aggressively mulligan, so you didn't just have a removal spell in your hand, you had a tempo swing minion with the Underbelly Fence instead. But Bunny ends up getting the best of both worlds, and he's now got an insane hand getting activated by this Dragon Sword this turn.
Now, I'm very interested to see which option he picks. He does go for Lady Liadrin, really wanting the quad Shadow Step game come into play here, which is actually pretty sick, because then you can just Shadow Step Liadrin and then go again.
You end up duplicating your Shadow Steps. I was doing my best impression of the average Hearthstone viewer, screaming at the casters watching Americas the other night when they had that interaction coming up and they clearly hadn't seen it before and didn't understand what was happening. I think it was Monsanto that Shadow Step Lady Liadrin a bunch of times and ended up just getting lethal with one Kobold Lackey and just duplicating his Shadow Steps until he had enough to just get straight up lethal. It was really, really sick.
The future is clear.
It was a tough call, though, because Bunnyhoppor had other good options as well.
Yeah.
And Seiko's like, wait a minute.
Yo, Liadrin's actually just sick in Priest, though. Come on.
We're already in Looney Town, okay? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
I will say, something else that might not be as exciting, but is also insane in Priest, is card draw.
Lame. Lady Liadrin or nothing. Yes.
Seiko's a gamer.
I mean, honestly, if you could put anyone on picking that card, I would put. Seiko's probably tried this. He's probably done this like 3 or 4 times already in his career.
So many options.
So is it as simple as activate your Miscreant this turn?
It could be. There are options for tempo plays as well.
Mm-hmm. I like this.
He's going to go for the Miscreant. Interestingly enough, it was the trade-off for coin for Vendetta. Was something I was looking at there. I would have thought he could have just Vendetted instead. I know there are bigger minions to target with that, but it does secure the 3-2 on board.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it secures it guaranteed. When I said activate Miscreant, this is the method that I had in mind, because you got to think, like... So you see 2 of the options, right? Titanic Lackey and Goblin Lackey both allow either a value trade or just to push face and use the Rush Lackey instead. And then there's Kobold Lackey on top of that as well. There's Ethereal Lackey into Backstab. Like, there's a million ways you can end up preserving your Vendetta there, and I do think Vendetta is worth preserving for situations that look more like this one.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to work out very well, do not get me wrong. But I also wonder if this is actually just a secret into Bounce turn. Doesn't get to Shadow Step it, but, you know, bouncing the Twilight Drake, having to replay that whilst the Rogue is just gaining and gaining on board is huge, especially into a secret.
So
That's fair.
many options.
Bunnyhoppor just going to do the old secret check, but yep, he is just playing the 2 Dirty Tricks, 2 Play Dries. There are no ambush in his list.
It might actually end up being a Dirty Tricks turn instead, because it's actually quite difficult
So
to
many options.
spend your mana here if you aren't going to play Dirty Tricks, right? Like, if you just Vendetta, like, what else are you doing this turn apart from playing the Dirty
Right.
Tricks anyway?
What? And then to me, I just wonder, what are the implications of Seiko's next turn being 5 mana player dude pass?
Right.
Like, that just seems great if you're the rogue right now. So I like this a lot from Bunnyhoppor, and you can, as you mentioned, use his mana whichever way you want.
Are we not catting? Is he going to go Titanic
Need the
Lackey
Colossus
instead?
of the Moon quite yet.
Alright, fine. He's going to protect from Pyromancer and other small AoEs here. Seems fine. Obviously, if you're going to Pharaoh Cat there, you want to Pharaoh Cat first, which is why I was asking the question. Yup.
One Shadow Step away from a good time. Oh, close. Okay, this turn might be a Pharaoh Cat.
Pharaoh Cat Restless Mummy, easiest game of my life.
Wonder.
I mean, it just looks like the right starting point, right? Like, no matter what, this Pharaoh Cat can be played this turn.
Wrong, Mummy! How much does Bunny want to commit here is the question, though. Backstab does come down. Does the Vendetta come down as well? It does. I do like this, because while he has Dirty Tricks up, he wants to be as ahead of on board as possible, right? It's the same scenario with both Dirty Tricks and Plagiarize, really, where you need to force your opponent into proccing those secrets favorably for
Right.
you, and the way you do that is by being ahead.
A little bit surprised he went in for the miscreant instead of 2 1/1s there. Obviously, this is just more targets, but Pyromancer is a 2 of in the list. So this is just a little bit weaker.
Yikes.
And Seiko's going to have to go for it.
Yes, indeed. Apotheosis coming down. I'm presuming this renew will certainly be cycled on the Pyromancer now for keep the health total nice and high.
Is there any real reason not to renew? I don't think so. Also, this puts the renew in the Lady Liadrin pool as well, so I don't think this renew is ever going face.
It doesn't matter if it goes face for the Lady Liadrin pool.
Is Elun's will?
Oh, right.
It's friendly
of course,
characters.
because of the... Yeah.
I just, like, I was fine with this mistake early on, but everyone still makes it, and we're, like, so deep into this meta now with this card.
It's because, how often do you play Lady Liadrin in a deck where you have spells to target your own face?
Like,
Not often.
Libram of Hope? The deck that it's in? Like,
No, I always target minions with that. If you've not already got a massive minion on board to heal up, it's already got +8/+8.
Okay.
But no, you're completely right.
I think it's because, what was the other card? Like Lanessa or something, where it did work that way? You couldn't point it at your face? I think that's what it was called. I think that's why people do it.
Wow. Is it the king?
I mean... Yes?
I mean, Kane's alright and all, but it's not a 9-mana 8/8 charge, is it?
Yeah. I mean, that might be the reason why one of these cards sees play and the other one doesn't. Because it's not a 9-mana 8/8 charge.
I must choose
Maybe we should be playing King Crush. I think.
Yeah, that's probably the responsible choice.
You know what I think about responsible choices. This gives him a play this turn, but it. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. I think for me, I was just wondering if that's actually more of a higher, although it comes later, if it's just a higher impact card, right?
Right.
Than this being on board right now, which seems very manageable in most circumstances for Seiko. Oh, no. Wait, is that just too many, Lady Electric?
I mean, one is too many right now because they're absolute garbage for Bunnyhoppor at the moment. They're not doing anything.
Could I go? Wait. Hang on.
No.
What?
100% confident whatever you're about to suggest is wrong.
What if you can technically make one backstab, two backstabs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Knew that was happening.
Is Bunnyhoppor gonna do it? Yes! Whatever I say is technically right. Bunnyhoppor did it. It was right.
No, this is
I'm a
actually
genius.
just objectively good, yes.
Absolute genius.
Yes. In fact, missing this would just be wrong.
Yep. I'll take your apology in a written letter form, please,
All right.
Settle.
Alright. Yeah. Typing it out now.
Written letter.
Oh, handwritten? Come on!
Yes!
Oh my...
I wonder.
Seiko. In a place where I never thought he'd be. Wondering how he beats
Infinite
Lady Leadrin playing
backstabs.
Rogue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
I wonder.
Really? Psycho just wants to counter push here, okay.
I'm just waiting for Ray's dead into Lady Leadrin.
Oh!
It begins.
So yeah, like there is... This does technically gain tempo for Psycho because his minion buffs first, or resets to normal first, because of the weird definition of until your next turn. But it's a crucial draw for Bunnyhoppor because, yeah, this Leadrin train was not doing anything up until this point. Now he does, technically, in the weirdest possible way, have infinite value.
Infinite shadow steps and infinite backstabs.
Yeah.
Now that's how you win a game of Fatigue. Just backstab everything and you're like, wait, how do I do the rest of the damage?
Where if your opponent's deck was 30 Bloodfen Raptors, you'd be in business.
Wait, hang on. Okay, all Bunnyhoppor needs is an Eviscerate, right?
Mhm.
And then he can keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, presuming he has enough time to spend all of his mana on doing that every turn, yes.
Look, let me dream, Sol.
Okay.
If we're gonna have a bit of a slow grindy game, this is the kind of slow grindy game I want.
Okay.
Lady Leadrin Wars.
Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking through this Soul Mirror turn on the previous turn from Psycho, because obviously it's such an insane resource, and he just threw it away just to make sure he would have tempo this turn. That's basically what he did, right? He Soul Mirrored. It wasn't really a board that needed dealing with, but he just Soul Mirrored so he would have the big minion first, and he could dictate trades and create this tempo play. Which, now that I look at it play out, yeah, makes sense. He's miles
I
ahead
think it's
again.
really good.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, without doing that, his turn was like pass, and then like what does that achieve? Because his hand's just all spells right now, right? So he wouldn't have actually had anything proactive to do at all.
Some help here. Yeah, those are the most helpful ones. Ethereal Lackey is the one that can do the clowniest things in this position.
Oh, none of those target.
No. Dogwaggle scheme. Imagine. Interesting. Can you do anything with Nephesset? Kind of, but it's not particularly exciting.
Chuck another backstab in the pool and then just heal your minion back up. Oh, me and Bunnyhoppor on the same wavelength as always.
Wait. I'm really not so sure about that one because
What? It's like way more backstabs now.
yes, but now he has to pay 7 mana to get a backstab back again. He just doesn't have a backstab anymore.
But he gets like, what, 3 backstabs or something now?
But he has to pay 7 for that privilege. Like, what if he just needs to backstab something?
Then he can. He's got 3. He can backstab 3 somethings.
Okay.
Oh, I'm having too much fun for this to be classed as work. Let's try and see what happens next. Give Bunnyhoppor evocation somehow. That's my vote.
Sure, that sounds
And
fun.
just see what happens.
Yeah.
Probably starting off with a passage here. I guess he could play her now first, right? He's got the mana.
So many.
He only has like 1 secret? Maybe 2 left? Oh, 1 thief.
Well, there's that one thief into evocation you were looking for, Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Curious as to whether the questing even gets played here.
Choose soon.
Like, I get that it's like floating so much mana not to play it, but like, when are you actually?
What's it achieve?
Yeah, exactly. When are you swinging the board if you just like throw away your questings in situations like this?
Okay.
Maybe between the Jandis and the questing, you're getting big enough here to actually contest. Yeah, it probably seems fine just to play it.
Now, does he target his own minion with Arcane Breath? He can get a dragon somehow, right?
Oh yeah, easy.
Magic is not a toy.
Meanwhile, though, Seiko starting to just put some pressure down on this board. The Vendetta on his side, cleaning up the questing, giving him more options, and even that Inner Fire now when on its Mage Scribes on the board. I have to think about it. Also, Apotheosis, wow. That could just be huge.
Penance, Master Spell, both.
I mean, all
Fairly
3
useful
would be
cards?
so bad, right? Yeah, I was going to say Dark Prophecy is just another big minion on board. At least high health
Interesting.
minion.
Yeah, this is the one I was not expecting. Go ahead, say the thing.
Could go for Nephesset this turn.
Alright. Bunnyhoppor has seen reason.
Ah! Yes! He's got the invocation!
Yes. But I mean, crucially, he gave up his Shadow Step to do it, right? Which kind of abandons the dream, at least for now. Which I think is the right thing to do, because I don't think the dream is achieving anything at all apart from entertaining Raven.
Of course it doesn't abandon the dream. He plays Liadri and gets to the Shadow Step. so
Yeah,
he
yeah,
can
yeah, no. I know, but he's just like, he's just going for evocation now, right?
Oh, it's so perfect.
That's what I wanted you to say at the start of the turn, is
I
vendetta
know.
your own minion.
I know. It was always correct.
Shadow Step this again. Alright, he's starting to put something together. It's weird though, because like in this spot, he doesn't really like have a clear goal with the spells that he's generating, and they're starting to get so many in there that they're just going to conflict with hand size, right? So he won't
Right.
even necessarily be guaranteed to get a whole bunch of Shadow Steps or a whole bunch of whatever else he's trying to put in there. So it is... At this point, it is just a straight-up value engine, right? Like, he's not necessarily progressing towards winning the game with anything specific. He's just generating value.
Reining it a little bit back into serious place here. It's why I did mention an Eviscerate earlier, right? Because if he keeps doing this with an Eviscerate in hand, in the Liadrin, then that becomes more of a thing, right?
Well, yeah, which is kind of what I'm leading to as well, where he's now got so many backstabs and Shadow Steps and Vendettas in there as well, that he might just miss on the first Eviscerate by the time that he actually like tries to do anything potentially game-winning with it. So I think at this point this is just a straight-up value engine, but it's a very, very expensive value engine, which I guess is offset by how many backstabs and Vendettas he gets out of it, but I'd much rather have the Vendettas than the backstabs. I think that's a much more useful card to be throwing out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Probably not going to be looking for the Arcane Breath anytime soon.
No. It does mean he needs to keep a other class spell in his hand as well, so that all of these Vendettas that keep coming back.
It's also a little bit weird because the second Shadow Step in his hand was actually kind of bad. Because he never needs two. Or at least doesn't need two for the physique. So him drawing the natural second one is actually just an extra space in his hand he didn't want. It is still funny though, and that's just true.
But what is it achieving?
It's entertaining me, which is the only real thing that matters. Okay. It's obviously got 5 Shadow Steps and 1 Liadrin. Oh.
Yeah. So we need win conditions remaining in the deck to use these Shadow Steps on, right? There's a Pharaoh Cat and a One Thief right now. There's also the Questing and the Edwin, which of course you compare them with, but whether or not you expect Priest to have answers to that or not is a different story.
It's a good point. Hanar? Well, Questing, Hanar, Shadow Step, Hanar, Shadow Step, Hanar, Shadow Step, Hanar, Liadrin, Shadow Step, Hanar, Shadow Step, Hanar. How big can that get?
Very, very big indeed.
Why isn't this a rogue card?
There's also the issue of the 9/9 smashing him in the face on the other side of the board right now.
Also, double Mind Vision is just hilarious.
Is Hanar better than, like, Mind Vision and Embalming Ritual here? You know it's like a perfect Vendetta target? But again, they have to spend 5 for each Vendetta that they use to get it off the Liadrin. You know the hand's full of Shadow Steps at the moment now anyway, but that One Thief is an insane draw here, because now Bunny can actually go fishing. He can actually cash out these Shadow Steps on something actively useful to make room in his hand before he starts going back in with the Liadrin.
Yeah, and remember, these Shadow Steps are not being used up and gone.
No.
They're just being used to make space because they're an effectively infinite amount of Shadow Steps. So this is basically Bunnyhoppor just creating a million spells. It's sick.
Yeah, they're also just not making space though, right? Because they all just present another spell in the hand that needs to be played before the Liadrin can then come down again.
Sure.
Like,
they eventually make space, right?
Yes,
like,
there's the Frost
playable
Nova.
Spells.
Okay. Frost Nova has been located. Does Bunny want to draw a card with Icicle, or would he rather just have the space in his hand? Is an additional question. He does. Oh, good. Plagiarized.
4 cards. I think what's important as well is there was a small moment where you have to look at Ray of Frost and see if that wins you the game, but it wouldn't win him the game in Fatigue right now, right? If he could just forever Ray of Frost minions.
Oh, sure. Yeah, put that into the Liadrin pool
it's
as well.
gone. Yeah.
Right. He needs a win condition. That's the problem,
That is definitely not me suggesting it in this game, but that's something you should look out for if you're ever in this situation. Because you can effectively infinite Ray of Frost as well.
Right.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Is that ever Deathwing?
I don't think so. When does he ever end up? Does the Bunnyhoppor die to fatigue before Deathwing becomes a thing?
I mean, what happens when like a 50-50 Edwin Van Cleef hits the board?
I never lied, but I never told the truth.
You evocation answer to it.
Okay.
There's a wave of apathy, a spellkin for more wave of apathies, which he'll no doubt give. Worth a try. I think Seiko's not really worried about that.
Jeez.
Didn't even play the first one!
Yeah, it's why. So
Infinite, though.
I called it out at the time, right? I was surprised that he ended up going for the Liadrin line that turn when he picked Evocation. I thought if he picked Evocation, he was going Evocation immediately, but then he's spent all the turns since then, like, filling his hands up with other stuff.
Because he'd only need, like, a Fireball, right? Or Frostbolt, maybe, even, as well.
I mean, on the turn, he did it, yeah. It was a pretty, like, dramatic board state that he was facing down, but it seemed like if he took that card and didn't play it that turn, his hand was just going to be so full of random garbage for the rest of the game that he was never really going to get usage out of it.
Choose soon.
But this did feel like a dump all your stuff kind of turn, and he did. There's the Vendetta. There's the Shadow Step.
Probably double steps, right?
Yep. Don't see any reason not to use both here.
It's not like you're going to run out.
Oh, okay. He's out. He's out. He's cashed out, Raven.
Weak.
This is what I was wondering the whole time. Like, it's been very entertaining, and it's been extremely interesting just trying to work out, you know, what he's been trying to achieve the whole time. But it just never really felt like he was finding a win condition, right? So, kind of down with him just giving up on the plan at the moment.
I just wondered if he ever kept it purely to make him literally be able to go infinite resource value and try and get there like that. But the issue, again, is just that ever looming fatigue number.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not answering the board that way, and he is just going to die to fatigue that way as well. So I think what he's done here is he's just going to Shadow Step his One Thief until he doesn't have 10 mana anymore and try and find box. And that's the game.
Frostbolt is in an option there, sorry. Also, Seiko just has the counter spell, which a part of me... Oh, wait. Is he just dead?
No, he needs one more damage, which I don't think he has.
Too used to seeing spell damage on these minions, right? For a bit. Frostbolts and evocations in Mage, not Priest.
Yeah.
Let's put him to 1 though. And in a couple of turns, even if Bunnyhoppor holds on, the fatigue will just kill him, as Seiko is nowhere near dead in this game. Not even close.
I never lied, but I never told the truth.
There is secrets now, and it'll be interesting. Obviously, once this is clean, once this turn has happened, and we can see what Seiko's board looks like, Seiko could quite realistically just never attack his face ever again, right?
Yeah.
Just be like, well, if you keep making ice barriers,
yeah, exactly.
It's 3 turns. It's not that long, and because he's overwhelmingly winning on board, or at least again, we have to look at the start of his turn, of course. But if he's overwhelmingly winning on board, he can trade forever, right?
Oh, it's so sick. So now with the Liadrin left up as well, he can go back in
And
if
just
he
Shadow
wants
Step
to.
and go, yeah.
He can actually, like, he's back in. He's back in, Raven.
Yeah.
We thought he cashed out.
Just when you think you get out, you just keep just come straight back in.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you.
Simply behind. Seiko is simply losing this game of Hearthstone now, Raven.
Is he?
Okay.
Quick.
Well, you can
Raise
rip
that
that.
Liadrin, let's go.
Yep, you can absolutely play that because that's an unplayable card for your opponent. That fills up their hand if it's plagiarized, so that'll be the 10th card in their hand, and you're then free to play all of your healing stuff afterwards because you've already given them the Raised Dead at that point. That seems pretty strong.
Looks good to me. And you might get Liadrin, which, let's be honest, is the true goal. Oh.
So yeah, now it doesn't matter what else you play because the hand will be full.
I do quite like the look of getting this Karj down, although not the most obvious powerful minion. It's Death Rattle, especially now you know the stunner's gone. Sorry.
We don't. You have to.
Wait,
You have to kill the
can
stunner
he-
first.
Oh, I thought he had a smite on the far left, but it's a radiance, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I thought it was a smite.
Yes.
A simple step.
Can't kill the stunner. You
Yeah,
really
if you-
cannot play any slow
Yeah,
minions
yeah.
here.
Completely agree. If you can't kill the stunner, the Karj.
Oh,
You can
backs
kill
up.
the stunner.
Backs up. Backs up.
Didn't have time.
Disaster.
My hand is too full.
I mean, we have been deprived, Raven. What was this about, if not the 60-60, Edwin?
It's fine. He's still got a question left, hasn't he?
What are the last two cards? Secret Passage Questing Adventurer are his last two cards, yes.
Oh,
What
Game's
did all
made me
of this
happy.
even mean?
you're not on the level to understand it, so I won't bother explaining.
Don't let the door hit
Okay.
you.
Mine.
Interestingly enough, was this ever like Shadow Step one thief for a box?
I mean, I was considering that. There was the term where I said that might be what Bunny was going for, because he was going into a 10-mana turn and ended the turn with a 0-mana one thief in his hand.
Right.
So he could have shadow stepped it like 4 or 5 times to look for puzzle box and still had it playable on that turn. But he just ended up going Blackjack Stunner instead, which admittedly did seem significantly more powerful. It was just a guaranteed full board clear with all of those shadow steps as opposed to looking for the box. But it definitely was a
14
possibility.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
15 damage with the dagger on board. 3 more from the arcane missiles, and again, slightly surprised he hasn't preemptively shadow stepped the one thief to try and go for more mage spells to end the game next turn, because he pretty much has to. He is running out of time. The only other option was the shadow steps on the Pharaoh Cat to get like Kartut, but then Seiko just wouldn't kill it. So again, some options, but none of them feeling fantastic there for Bunnyhoppor.
Alright, Seiko gets the backstab done this time, which probably should have come down on the previous turn. Saved him a lot of heartache, but that is now the Blackjack Stunner's dealt with.
Was that the target this turn, though?
Probably. You get to Karja to freaking Wind
but
Guardian, right?
If it's true, but if he backstabs the 1/2 this turn, the one thief, then it isn't a shadow step target to get any funky mage stuff, and then he can just wave of apathy the turn after, and then it's fatigue lethal, right?
I mean, what do you want your funky mage stuff to do?
Box.
Almost out of cards.
I.e., clear the board without drawing cards? Isn't that what Blackjack Stunner just does? Like,
Well, box could heal him, right?
okay, sure. It's
It
far
could.
more likely
It
to
could.
kill him. It's far more likely to kill him, I promise you.
Okay, it wasn't likely we'd have a double Liadrin game, but things happen, don't they?
Yeah.
So Bunnyhoppor has to make just the biggest minion ever and hope it's enough.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to talk about this 2 turns ago, but Seiko generated another wave of apathy and it was all irrelevant. But I wanted to say you absolutely don't wave of apathy this turn because there's no way you're dead. But he then generated a second wave of apathy. So
Yeah.
of course he just used the first one. So that dynamic has now shifted to this turn, where he chose not to wave of apathy this turn because there's just absolutely no way he's dead here. So he can use it on the following turn instead, when the fatigue tick is just about to come into play.
Choose soon.
Oh, counterspell looks nice, but we can see it's not going to be enough. And he knows, because there's Cobalt Spellkins by the dozen in his hand as well. So
Yeah.
he knows there's ways to proc counterspell anyway.
Goes that polymorph. which I think is probably more crucial in the end, since you know there's a 6/8 untargetable taunt in there. Seems like you have very little chance of getting through if you have to deal with that. Alright, live this turn, and then you can literally just press end turn next turn. You're chilling.
So there's 5-6 damage with Dagger, but let's pretend Dagger doesn't exist because he can probably use the mana better to get more damage from the quest in.
Sure.
Wave of Apathy is, let's put it at 5. And there's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, minimum 5 castable spells, so that's 10 damage. But then he could go for Evocation and go really crazy. Although he can't play Raised Dead as well, so it's not as straightforward.
Like this. It's scary against Snipe, which I guess was worth considering here, but all things considered, you have 2 opportunities here that absolutely win the game, one of them being the Wing Guardian, and then the absolute game ender is stealing the questing, of course. And then even if you don't, you still just put a taunt in the way, you heal up to 27. Again, all you have to do is live this turn, so it seems pretty likely.
So, Arcane Missiles... Evocation.
I'm working on the Conjurer's Calling Outs. I haven't found one yet. I'll get back to you. Trying to figure out a way to heal with 3 drops or 7 drops.
Oh yeah, he needs a... yeah. Potentially 6 drops as well, right? He's going to summon a dragon, isn't he, with Draconic?
Oh.
So wait, he could...
Cartoon Defender?
But he can't kill it, right?
Not unless he had enough mana for the other Conjurer's Calling as well. Yeah.
Double Conjurers. Wait.
Ah! Ah! Armored Goon! It's so close! He doesn't have the dagger! Armored Goon, whenever your hero attacks, gain 5 armor! Oh, it was so close! Oh, what did we go through this whole game for just to get teased like that? Oh my goodness!
Well, that was a game of Hearthstone. Bunnyhoppor so close but so far, and Seiko, although we did have a Liadrin in that game as well, it did not quite go in the same way. And Seiko's probably just relieved that it's over, because once that starts happening, you just think, oh no, like what is going to go wrong this game?
Oh, I forgot Armored Goon was a card, Raven. I was scrolling through the minions on 3, scrolling through the minions on 5, trying to find an answer, and then you said 6. I was like, oh, 6, good point. Started scrolling, didn't get there, didn't see it in time. Oh, we were so close. After everything that happened that game, the complete no-win condition Liadrin plan all the way through the mid-game, just setting up nothing except for infinite value. But that infinite value did convert into at least a chance for Bunnyhoppor, because he was able to recycle it onto the One Thieves and everything else that he was able to get a bunch of value out of. So, I mean, the plan just about came together, and like, who knows what the play was on that last turn, whether he could get the dragon summoned and the Conjurer's Calling cast and still have the dagger be able to be equipped at the end of the turn to gain the armor. I'm not sure if that was possible. I will admit I certainly lost track of everything that happened in that game, but please do forgive me. It was nonsense.
So if you knew the outcome obviously would happen, which is ridiculous, but let's pretend.
Yeah.
He could have just gone dagger, 1 conjures, I think would have activated the dragon.
Okay.
Then conjures the dragon, then swing. But you're not going to do that, right? When there are other options to try and dig yourself out. So yeah,
you do still have to answer the board on the other side as well, right? Which I guess you still can, just about. It's only a
taunt. Right?
Yeah, it's only a 2/4 that you need to deal with. So yeah.
Regardless,
insane game. Insane,
yeah, absolutely insane. But we are moving on to game number 3, and guess what? There's more Rogue, but this time it's going up against Bunnyhoppor's Demon Hunter. Seiko only 1 game away from taking a victory, and this would be a big deal. We talked about it at the start of the series, but that feels like a millennium ago now. And Seiko taking a win here would put himself on 4 wins and would create an actually reasonable gap between him, Bunnyhoppor, and to an extent Casey as well, because Bunnyhoppor plays Casey later this weekend. So Seiko would just take a great stride forward. And again, I'm not going to say guarantee safety. That's a word I never like using on especially this weekend. But it puts him in a more reasonable place where he's very likely to be in a playoff spot.
And much like the Liadrin in Bunnyhoppor's hand that we spent the entire first half of that game looking at, this hand is one shadow step away from a good time.
Yeah, this is a very different looking hand, isn't it? This is the not the value side of this deck, but actually the pop-off early game side that it does have.
Yes. Yeah, this hand has a much clearer win condition.
There is a Flick and the Vendettas in this list for Seiko, and the 2/2 package for the Secret. So once again, no ambush, just so we're all up to date.
Cool, Neophyte number 1 will just get met by the Eldraki Warblades here. I would presume, but of course.
It will be just in about 70 seconds.
This is the bunny that we're dealing with.
Done.
Coin the one thief, look for something to prep. Potentially try and land this Edwin. Ooh, okay. Just gonna prep the secret instead then.
Yeah. It's a nice backup to have, right? I think, like, yes, there were other options that would have been nice for prep, but this is just good. I think Frostbolt would have been really good here because the weapon is equipped, but...
Yeah. And it's still like that perfect 1-2 punch that I was talking about before, right? Where these secrets, both Dirty Tricks and Plagiarize, they can be quite weak if there's no pressure on your opponent because they don't have to play spells. They can just play more minions, just play one card and pass in the case of Plagiarize. But since you're playing a giant threat, they need to come up with something creative to answer it. And if they're going to do that, you're going to get all of those options as well.
Bunny really wanted that to be a consume magic.
Wow.
I think he has to Chaos Strike. Just go face.
What do you want to draw?
Consume magic.
Does he play? He does play a natural copy. Yeah. Okay, you're probably right then. It's sketchy to give it to the opponent, right? But I think you're right in that you drawing is more valuable than giving the card to your opponent here.
Yeah, it's either let your opponent draw cards as well, or don't draw cards and die.
Yes.
So I think he just has to Chaos Strike here. It also sucks because he's effectively healing for 1 when he could heal for 4 technically, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he doesn't have to swing, I guess.
I think you just don't swing. Yeah.
I guess he could rate 4 damage not being relevant. Yeah. I can get behind this as well. Either way, as long as he drew a card, then I'm happy.
Yep. Agreed.
Easy, Liadrin.
Please no. Stop the madness.
It'd be a very different game in this matchup. Seiko tries to do like shadow sets with Liadrin, then just dies because Bunnyhoppor killed him with Demon Hunter.
Chaos Strike the minion and Neophyte. Seems like the best way to go about this. Shut down any illusions Bunny might have in piecing together some ridiculous twin slice answer here.
Can still go for the Consume Magic, the Hero Power Mana Feeder.
That is true. Just about fit still.
It sounds bad, but I think he just has to. Like, I don't know what his other plays are. If he plays Kane to clear this 3-2 up, it just dies to the 1-2 and he gets hit for 10 again.
Yep.
Just has to fish for it. This is just a very simple game, unlike the previous one.
Yikes.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Sol? That we've seen just a Van Cleef solo a game. I think it's been a very long time, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the hits are just going to keep on coming here for Seiko because now he's curving into Jandis. Picks up the Vendetta as well for maximum face damage. Protects his illusion with the 2-3 being taken off the board. Hits Stranglethorn Tiger as well. Oh. Poor Bunny.
Not enough. No weapon equipped. These shard shatters aren't active, and that is just going to be the game. And like I said, it's been a while since we saw a Van Cleef just take over in early game for Rogue there, but it did happen. Seiko takes the win over Bunnyhoppor 3-0, and a bit of a whiplash ending of that series with how crazy game number 2 was versus game number 3. But still, congratulations to Seiko. Like we said, Bunnyhoppor, Seiko, and Casey are kind of together in Division A in the middle, with chances of them going lower or higher, of course.
Yeah.
And I think Seiko has taken a huge stride towards safety and a playoff spot this season.
Yeah, and playoff spot is what it's all about. When you find yourself in that Division A, you want to be looking up. You don't want to be one of the two that's having a sketchy season and ends up in that relegation bracket. Obviously, Viper is largely stranded at the bottom, so it's that